Hello everyone and welcome back to another altered video. Today we've got Sigismar and Wingspan, but this video was made in response to a comment made on the last one, asking whether we'd thought about playing any permanents and having a bit more of a mid to late game focused win condition, I suppose, rather than tempoing out our opponents with good cards and, just keeping them off of their axis. Investing in cards for later and seeing how that works out for us. I did post a response to that comment, but as a quick TLDR, whenever I play permanents, I'm always worried that our opponent has the appropriate removal in hand. Often more efficient mana-wise to get rid of than it is to put it into play. Especially in the case of the monolith. But spending your mana not to impact the board gives your opponent the option to either respond to that in kind with their removal spell, or take some form of lead and advantage into the next turn by just ignoring it and playing out more cards because you've used your mana elsewhere. We're still going to give it a go though. Obviously a lot of the early builds, and I believe even the Sigismar and Wingspan starter deck, build around this, so the carriers and the monoliths, and then we've got a bunch of supporting actors here. So we are going to try and get those cards into play if we can, unless it's an obviously poor decision to do so. But let's go through it. A lot of these cards are ones that we know already, so the Order Saturnis, Jack Frosts, Aegis Templars, Order Spies of the world are all cards we see a lot of, and the spells as well, so 3 Teamworks, 3 License Withdrawals, potentially to contest our opponent's landmarks as well, respecting that there. 1 Tiny Jail, this is all pretty standard stuff. And then to support the 7 permanents that we've got in the deck, we've got 3 Foundry Mechanics, 2 Foundry Engineers. The mechanics, really good, stat positive for what you get, not quite as good in brown as the Order's Troopers at the same rarity, so we do sacrifice a little bit there. And then the Foundry Engineers, when you play them from reserve, they just make your permanents a bit cheaper. So, this is a good way to both impact the board in a relatively okay manner most of the time, while also enabling your permanents. So 2 carriers, 3 monoliths. Usually when I play permanents, I look at these as a split. 6 feels like too many. And after some discussions a long time ago with a friend of mine, we landed on 3 monoliths, 2 carriers, because we want to see the monoliths early and try and work around getting those into play to accrue the value. If they come in too late, they can be a little bit poor, I guess, in terms of the value you get out of them. And the carriers are good all the time, but when you're already sacrificing tempo in order to get these into play, playing 3 for these is a little bit rough. The 2 town squares as well obviously plays really well with the carrier and the token generators that we have. So Aegis Templar, Baba Yaga, the unique here, they all, and the Kuot, all generate a lot of bodies to get counters on those, so they're a good way of converting advantage now in the form of those extra bodies into advantage later as well. So we're trying to cover for that weakness there too. And then I suppose the only other card I want to talk about is the Qorgan Informant. So this is one that I've been looking at specifically as a meta call. Cards like Sapped Wende, obviously all the Basir and Kaizaimon running around, taking the counters off of those can actually allow you to swing an expedition where you wouldn't have before. So we're going to look for opportunities to play this in a place where it wins us something. It's for your Taja and Nora's. Even Nevenka and Blotch gives a boost. Afanis and Senka, and again Basira and Kaizaimon. So we're looking at those matchups specifically, but even Axiom adds counters to cards in reserve quite a lot. So there should be some play here. Hopefully we can find at least one spot for it in our 3 games. And yeah, this is one I've been looking at. So 3 hand cost for a 2/3/2, where you can actually remove 2 counters as well. So it can be a 4/5/4 swing, just played from hand, or you can scout it for 1. So pay 1 mana, take 2 power off your opponent's board, and if you want to play it from reserve, you can do that as well, which plays well with the monolith. So we're looking for that. Scout, just generally good with Kuod as well, so hopefully that comes up, but we'll try and jump into it. The things I am worried about is obviously our opponent's conditionless permanent removal. Stuff like Cloth Cocoon, Lost in the Woods, License Withdrawals, and then some decks also have access to things like Boom or Mana Eruption as well. So that should cover every faction. Everyone does potentially have ways to deal with our permanents, whether they do or not actually run those cards awaits to be seen, but I will be talking about those a lot after playing permanents out. So those are all really rough, specifically for the monolith, because it's obviously more expensive to play. It's mana neutral for the carrier, and generally they won't want to, but if we do have the town square out and it's threatening to boost a bunch of things, might get rid of it. So we're hoping that those 2 town squares can be played as a way to push through our opponent's permanent removal. 7 landmarks to get rid of, or 7 permanents to get rid of, will usually be higher than the amount of removal our opponent plays. So even if they play out all 3, that 4th one we know will stick for the rest of the game. I don't expect games to go that long, but if they do, I suppose we'll look at it. Alright, pretty straightforward one. Thank you to the YouTube commenter, Ajordat, I believe your name is. I don't know how to say it. You can always let me know how you would like me to pronounce it in this video. But yeah, thank you for the inspiration. Really appreciate it. Let's crack on to game 1. And here we are with game 1 of our build version of Bleenies. Thank you to one of our commenters on a previous video, giving us the inspiration. If you leave it in there, I'll probably try and play it. Alright, what are we doing here? Okay, I think what we'll do is we'll take the Engineer, the Templar, and the Town Square, as we can use all of our mana turn 1 with the Templar and Engineer, and then when we play the Engineer on turn 2, we will play the Town Square for free, and some form of 2-drop as well that we hopefully get. So we'll give it a go, see what our opponent wants to do. They get to play first, and we get a bit of information. Now this one might be a bit of a rough matchup. As if we can't get the game over in time, they'll likely be able to start using their value. Now we have a choice here. We can either block them from advancing, or we can take a 2 for 1. I think we'll take the 2 for 1, though I do see the credence in blocking them, seeing as our next turn is going to be a little bit of a slow one with the engineer and the town square. Hopefully we draw something to use the remaining mana. Alright, an Ordis Attorney. That definitely qualifies as something we can play. Our opponent is likely to play out the Tinkerbell. So what we'll do is drop the Foundry Engineer. On the hero side, I think. Blocks it off if they want to advance there. And they want to play the Tinkerbell to get rid of our Templar. They are perfectly free to do that. The town square will be good here because it provides a removal target for their Grems, which is the card I'm really thinking about at the moment. Won't be able to accrue any value out of that one. Play the landmark out. We have an option. I think we're just going to go 1 for 1 here. One less sabotage source in our opponent's deck means we're likely to get to play out the Attorney again next turn, unless they've got another one in there. And going 1 for 1 when we're ahead is good. Had they played out the Tinkerbell on the hero side, we could have blocked them off, evened everything up, going 0 for 1. Oh, this is a bit of a rough hand. The gift of self there might have been useful. A tech lab unit out of our opponent. I think we just take the opportunity to drop a monolith while we can. Alright, we found a window where we can let our opponent even everything up to get our monolith into play. So everything's even, but with our permanents out, we should be looking alright. See what we get out of these two cards, Teamwork Training and the Mechanic. And we'll pass the turn. Or we'll pass from putting something into mana, because we can play everything out that we want. Our opponent's doing something big with their mana here. Obviously wanted to keep the extra one that they could have got with the brass bug, so I'm assuming. A brass bug hive. No, it's a Crypia. We'll play out a Mechanic. We can actually remove the Croupier here. Okay. Monolith for a 2 for nothing is actually pretty good for us. We'll take that. We're actually going to be able to activate our town square here as well. And we are in the driver's seat. no sabotage out of our opponent, so our foundry mechanic is likely safe. What we'll do... that was a mistake. I thought we'd skipped here. Alright, it's going off the rails a little bit, but that's alright. We'll take those. I'm playing a bit too fast and loose here. Okay. Based on what they're representing, we can still actually advance if we drop the mechanic. See an exhausted resupply. Oh, just a regular resupply. Yeah. And we'll see. If your opponent doesn't have a creature in hand, we actually just win here against the Croupier. And that might be it, even with us getting rid of the Jack Frost. Okay. So we can block on the companion side, or we can win on the hero side. No additional card from our attorney. However, butting us up like this would be good. They have to get rid of a card, but we're still behind on the number of cards that we have. Hoping to get 2 2-drops. Or a 3-drop and a 1-drop. That's not Orders Carrier. Ha! Alright, we'll pass the turn here. This one's going to be a rough one, likely a 0 for 2. I'm going to drop the Gift of Self early. I think we'll just drop the carrier and give them a free 0 for 2. If we had the mana for it, we could have used the Informant, but that's alright. License withdrawal wouldn't have been good here. Getting rid of anything of theirs. So just have to trust the deck to provide, even though we're behind on mana. I think getting rid of the license withdrawal is good here. We'll pass on the informant. The character bureaucrat mage messenger. Bit of a rough type line there. What can we do here? We'll have to play out the attorney. See what's remaining in their hand. Alright, that's the game. Oh well, made a game of it, came close. Town Square just didn't come online. And guess we'll move on to game 2. That's alright, that was a good one, came close. Alright, see you there. Hey everyone, sorry, forgot to hit record while picking the deck, but we're back for game number 2. Alright, Foundry Mechanic, Attorney, Field Reinforcements, Teamwork Training, the Spy and the Templar. So a lot of, got 2 1-drops, 3 2-drops, and a 3-drop. Teamwork Training is going to take a while to get set up, so I think we'll miss that. I think we might go like this. So we play the Field Reinforcements and the Mechanic turn 1, try and just go 1 for 1 here. I think we'll play out the Foundry Mechanic first, so that if they overload, we can contest with the Audit Attorney and at least draw our card. But we'll just take the value out of Field Reinforcements. Play it on the hero side and go 2 for 1 first up. Baba Yaga ain't too bad. That'll probably become good in a couple of turns. We'd be looking to throw into reserve some form of landmark. Okay, we've got the town square. So in theory, we could play Baba Yaga town square here. The only thing that interacts with this the way we don't want will be some form of sabotage, so little mice. Okay, bit of a poor one. And I'm thinking we might actually pivot here. So Baba Yaga plus Foundry Mechanic actually gets us the win on the hero side. Does give up the dream of playing the town square this turn. But it does keep our plan moving. Oh, actually no. Yes. Okay. So Baba Yaga puts it in the companion side. Which is a shame. So we'll drop our mechanic and just keep the game going. Town square is a way to incentivize sabotage. Isn't too bad. It is probably the least impactful of our 3 permanents. So we're okay with that. Auto Spy Jack Frost. It's a good way to handle the Dracana that we see. Although playing it out on the hero side actually lines up pretty well against the Baba Yaga that we're showing, so we could potentially send that. The aloe vera will be scary if they resupply something that can anchor it, because we have no removal. But I think we'll get rid of the Jack Frost here. So what we're looking at doing here would be Baba Yaga Order Spy, or Order Spy Baba Yaga on that side in some order, but we could pivot onto Attorney and Mechanic as well. Alright, nothing too troublesome there, so they're going to have to play something from hand, which means we can hold on to the spy here. And see what they want to do. Bountiful Meadow. Okay, with their remaining 3 mana, they could play out both of their little guys. Likely to play the Spindle Harvester out on the companion side. So I'm debating here. It would be a good time to draw a card out of our Attorney, but we can probably assume that we've locked up this side anyway, so we're going to do that. Try and leverage our card advantage here. If they can't find a way to anchor the aloe vera again, they'll likely play it out, and then we can sabotage next turn. Mighty Simbi. Alright. I was hoping not to have to play the Foundry Mechanic out, because now we're going to have to put something into the discard from reserve. But staying ahead is definitely the name of the game here. Alright, with the Monolith, I think it's a valid reason to keep the Foundry Mechanic around. We're always going to have a target. We've got the aloe vera and the Simbi, but they won't actually be able to anchor if they want to play both of these guys out. Yeah, just Templar's a good pickup here. Scouts for 2, so we could potentially play Monolith Templar here. And I think we'll keep the Spy over the Informant. Let's actually do this math. So we've got 6 mana, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the town square. We could get rid of the Monolith, which I think is a good idea considering they might be holding on to a Lost in the Woods, I think it is. But I do kind of want to showcase. I would like to showcase the permanents a little bit more. It was the reason we're playing this deck, so let's have a go. Alright, we'll start with the Spy. Get rid of their aloe vera. They could have anchored it with the bountiful meadow, so squeezing their stats there is honestly a good idea. Got one remaining mana. How many stats can we actually get into brown here? 1, 2, not enough. One mana short of playing the monolith, which would have been the go here. So I think what we'll do is we'll actually just play out the town square, and if we have to as an emergency, it'll be Foundry Mechanic. Playing out the town square without reducing the cost, obviously we were capable of doing it, not expecting to lose to their one remaining mana, and it means we don't have to discard anything at the end of turn. Alright, the Qorgan Informant might actually be a big deal here. Something's going to get a boost. If they have a second plant, that might be able to flip an expedition. And now that we've got one, I think the carrier is going to be more suitable for this part of the game. Alright, what are we looking at here? 2, 3, 4 plus 3 is our full 7, or we could scout both of our characters in hand. I think we'll start off. Just wave the big red flag. Hey, get rid of this. Okay, there is a plant coming. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tough X, where X is the number of plants we control, so we need 2 mana for that now. That'll take it down to 3. We will in fact be unable to scout, so scout 1 costs 2. Okay, we might actually be able to win here. So we'll scout the Informant. A little bit of lag there. We'll scout our Templar. Use his support ability. And play the Order Spy. There you go. Alright, there you go. Decent win there. Actually got that one. Bit of a complicated turn at the end there, but I'm pretty happy with that one. Scout coming in handy. Obviously the Templar would have been good to have the Monolith out, but we wouldn't have been able to leverage a win at that point, so it's not really a plus for the carrier because we just played it at the end there, so we actually had a pretty efficient way to win against the Hydrocena. Awesome. Happy with that one. It was a good finish to the game. On to game 3. And we're back for game 3. Actually remembered to hit record on the deck selection screen. Proven that it is the list that we've got. And we're going to choose that one. Bleeny's Buildings. Probably going to have to try and rename these at some point. Bleeny's 2 and Buildings. Seems a little bit silly. And let's see what we've got here. Okay. Foundry Mechanic plus Field Reinforcements into a Monolith seems good. We're getting rid of a lot of interaction with our opponent's reserve by getting rid of the 2 Spies and a Jack Frost. So only one of those each left in the deck. I'm going to have a lot of targets as well with Rin and Orchid. They put cards into reserve. But we'll give it a go. We will have to trade 1 for 1 with a Persephone here. It's 3 or less gains anchored. Alright, no way to interact with that. We're going to lose out value on the field reinforcements if we wait to play it, so we'll still play it out anyway. License withdrawal might be good. We'll make our recruit on the hero side. See what they want to do. They just pass. They don't want to anchor their scout. Interesting choice of unique here for our opponent. 0 in the green means it'll never trigger Rin and Orchid. And as we've taken a 2 for 1, we might have the space here to get our Monolith into play. Obviously it's going to be a big target, but it does dodge Requiem, I believe, but getting it out early and often is the way to go. We had a split between the carriers and the Bastion. I think 6 is too many, so we've run 5 combined of those 2. 2 carriers, 3 Monolith. The reasoning behind that is that we're trying to see the Monolith as early as possible. License withdrawal versus 2 Ordis Attorneys. Rin is less likely to boost characters. So as in this matchup, withdrawal is a situational card, we'll probably just keep the Attorneys and try and recoup at a later time. Alright, playing in green favours our opponent here. We've got a Jack Frost. It's alright. We'll play out an Attorney because it actually wins against the Frost. As we're playing brown, we may see the Walrus Scout. Capellia. Okay. We were rewarded for keeping the 2 Attorneys. Going 1 for 0 here is good. Provides even greater space for us to get the Monolith into play and not worry too much that we're falling behind our opponent. I assume they're choosing to anchor something. Didn't get it out early enough. We'll pass. Had we been able to advance on the hero side, we might have been able to disincentivize that. We'll get rid of one of the Attorneys. Ooh, an Ordis Carrier and a Gift of Self. we'll have 5 mana, which means if we reduce the cost of it 2 and 3 for the Order Spy, alright, we'll keep our options open. Get rid of the Gift of Self. Although there would be some credence to keeping it around and getting rid of the Recruit. We are in fact going to sabotage the Jack Frost. The Scout doesn't help them at all on the hero side. It still gives us some play on the companion side as well. Likely to trade there, you know. And we've got some options here. With 4 mana in hand, they're likely able to remove something on either of our sides. So we'll take our window, play the carrier. As much as I would have liked to get the monolith in play, we take what we can and try and pressure our opponent. If they have anything in hand that adds green, like that, we're going to go 0 for 2. They're going to actually even everything up. So all that hard work we've done in the first few turns erased, but we've set ourselves up for future turns with the carrier. Probably go into it a little bit in the debrief, but I do feel like this is a very hostile metagame at the very least, and potentially just a game in general for landmark-based strategies. When your large plays long-term that don't impact the board like the monolith can be removed very efficiently, or more efficiently mana-wise, in all the colours, create situations where it's very difficult to get them and keep them in play where they can accumulate value. Early on, when it was just beyond the gates, not every faction had access to permanent removal. You know, Sticky Note Seal didn't hit the monolith, but it did hit your carriers. And all of the removal, like Boom, I think in Axiom and Izmir, required a sacrifice. It was a bit of a build around, but with cards like License Withdrawal and Lost in the Woods, getting rid of these in a mana positive way for your opponent does make it very difficult. Right, our opponents are just making the choice. They won in green on both sides, and as such, they're able to discard 2 cards to reserve, draw 2, but if they do get rid of 1 here, they're going to have to get rid of 2 anyway. So obviously they didn't like the Beauty Sleep in their hand, but they do have to come to a decision, because whatever they discard means they're going to have to get rid of it at the end. Potentially doing a bit of math, figuring out what cards in their deck are better at the moment. If it were me, I'd probably be digging for some form of permanent removal, like Lost in the Woods. Requiem does it as well for the carrier that they can see, but I'd be trying to plan for the monolith to come in. Alright, luckily they don't have an opportunity to use the Moon of Druid's support ability to anchor something. So they could could consider getting rid of that if they put another card in, but I'm expecting them to keep the Copelia, get rid of the Beauty Sleep and whatever card they discard to have to be better than Druid. So the fact that they've advanced into brown only and blue-brown means they're not going to be able to draw any cards. There's the Requiem that we saw. We see the Requiem that we were talking about, which gets rid of our carrier. So they may want to keep that around. But we do get a little bit of value out of that anyway. So one opportunity to get our token out of him before he's at risk. They'll be playing first, so no chance for us to sabotage that and get rid of it. Requiem goes away. Alright. 2 forms of removal. Our opponent's back. Big red button, they've run out of time, so I guess we're going to have to deal with that. And we're on to the next turn. So, Tiny Jail, Teamwork Training both deal with whatever they play and choose to anchor. Although if they can manage to boost the Copelia, should be out of range of the Tiny Jail. Alright, if we put something into mana, we have 6 available, so 2 2-drops plus the 2 2-drops we've got in hand means we're likely to get rid of the Monolith here. And then we've got a lot of options in terms of getting rid of their cards and reclaiming our lead. Alright, our opponent's back. A little bit of a delay there. I've cut that out of the video so you didn't have to sit and watch with us. I did check on our opponent, make sure they're alright. They've apologised. And hopefully we can move on. Alright, an Aloe Vera doesn't get hit by Tiny Jail. And I'm likely assuming that they're going to anchor that. So what I think we'll do is we'll play out the Attorney here. That way, if they do add any value into this side, at the very least, we'll be able to recoup some of that value with a card. Okay. Going 2 for 1 here. No, we can actually go 2 for nothing if they don't have a 1-drop in play. So what we're going to do is we'll play out the Spy, see what they want to do with their remaining mana. And if they pass, we will get rid of that Aloe Vera. Alright, Teamwork Training looking pretty juicy here. Could have potentially held on to the Attorney. But at least we've manufactured a situation where we can play from ahead again. Unfortunately, the Tiny Jail won't hit Aloe Vera. So we'll be looking for some other form of removal, specifically Teamwork Training. There are none in mana, only the one in the discard that we just put there, so we've got 2 of those back in the deck. License Withdrawal looks pretty cheeks here. We've got a Town Square. This is going to be a rough turn for us. So, barring any interaction, we will be able to start putting the counters on our town square if we start. I think given that what they're presenting actually can't get hit by the tiny jail, we're better off with the extra mana. Alright, first up is the town square. See what they want to do. If they play out a character, we'll just sacrifice the token on that side and see what we get to do with our remaining 3. Really good spot for Gift of Self. I do actually like that card with the carriers, because it just gives you a bit of flexibility in what it is that you can get rid of. And they do indeed play out the aloe vera. So we're going to sacrifice the token on that side, give it up, hope for a 1-for-1 here if we get something good. Field reinforcements, license withdrawal aren't the best. And interestingly enough, had we kept the token on this side, we actually would have been able to advance here. Expeditions are not behind, so I think we'll just draw a card. Sorry, thought I had to pass. I think we'll just have to give up again. Alright, so everything's even once more. Our opponent gets to play first. Behind on cards, but the cards we have are a little bit poor. Not that they're to know that. 2 license withdrawals is absolutely too many in this situation. I'm not really even happy with the 1. So that's an easy choice. We've got 8 mana, so charge would be good here with the Templar instead of the town square. Right, one to scout plus 3 to cast it from reserve is actually ahead for us on blue. And then we could play Engineer and scout this Templar. So we can play out around everything that our opponent has to do. And there is very little benefit to us not to hold off here. So we could preserve the cards that we have in hand, play out the Foundry Engineer first, drop the Aegis Templar after with the Scout, and then give us the option to play it once more. Copelia. actually think we'll do that. So we'll invoke our recruits and see what they want to do with this information. We can play him. Lost in the woods. So what are they going to get rid of? The foundry engineer? So we could scout and play a regular Aegis Templar that will block on one side, win on the other, and whichever side we do, which side do we prefer? Either way they end up on blue. We've got blue here. So I think we actually want to scout to the hero side. Obviously our opponent is forced to pass, and then we get to choose which side we win on. And obviously we're going to choose the companion side, so we've got access to blue on both for our Templar. And we do have access to the town square with our charge as well, plus a lot of tokens. Alright, co-op might be good. We're just going to get rid of the license withdrawal and try and force our opponent to play. So we've got 9 mana. Our opponent is dropping a GG in the chat already, but we will play it out by dropping the Kuat, and then we can just force everything on that side. No reason to delay the inevitable here when our opponent's already passed. And there you go. Not too bad. Did manage to get a win there too against another green deck. Would have been nice to play against something not green, but we'll take what we can get in terms of games. Alright, there you go. Happy with that one. On to the debrief. I'll see you there. And there you have it. 3 games done with our Bleenies builders. A 2-1 record where we beat 2 Mooner lists and lost to an Axiom list helmed by Subash and Mano. I may have made some misplays in that game that impacted the result. Likely to lose anyway, but you know, still feels bad. Obviously you can't take any definite verdicts out of just 3 games, so we're likely to tinker with this one, keep it around, see if we want to play it again. But I do have some thoughts after those 3 games, plus the ones I played off camera as well. Not a big fan of the monolith here. Obviously it acts as a massive flag to your opponent that you're weak. Not to not to push on it again, but all of the removal options that your opponents have go mana positive. They cost less than 5 on the turn that you get them into play, so you've invested 5 mana to not impact the board, and they've invested 3 or so in order to get rid of your 5 mana play. And it just felt like it was mana fodder for the most part. Carrier is pretty consistent. Obviously also works as a removal spell, but doesn't dodge cards like Requiem, where Monolith does, and I was impressed with the town square here. So has the added benefit of being mana neutral or positive for your opponent to try and get rid of. Qorgan Informant won us a game in the middle there against the Hydrocena. Just had enough to get over the line in order to win a 2 for nothing the turn it came down. So that one has some play, and I don't know how I feel about the Foundry Engineers. Everything else pretty consistent. We could muck around with some of the uniques as well. In fact, I do have one idea to get another Informant into play. But if I were to look at swapping things around, the Engineer is where I would look. If I were pressed to switch out this deck right now, I've got a couple of ideas. The craziest of which I think would be to swap out the monoliths for rare versions of the Ordis carriers. So that one also costs 5, but it makes a token in each expedition at noon. So obviously runs into a lot of the same problems as the monolith, but it adds more power to the board if your opponent can't get rid of it until the turn after, and it gives you extra play with those tokens for stuff like Gift of Self and pooping out more bodies to buff your town square. So let's go through a quick rebuild here. We're going to get rid of the monoliths, the Ordis carriers, and the 2 Foundry Engineers, and that leaves us with 2 rare slots to fill, 5 commons, and I think we'll get rid of the Baba Yaga as well. So what we'll do is we'll throw those carriers in. We'll add in Anubis, which, if it can come down after you've got a carrier in play, you have a lot of flexibility with what to sacrifice. You've also always got the option of getting rid of the token that Sigismar himself makes. So if your opponent is playing first and they drop something large, you can get rid of it. And then for the last few slots as well, I think we will drop a couple of extra cards. So the Informant and Mobile Armories. Let's drop that in at 3. See, 3 Templars. Oh no, we're going to drop that in at 2. And we're going to go up a 3rd town square. So there you go. I think without having played it, I think this deck would flow a little bit better. Slightly higher end play here with the Anubis. The less clunky cards are gone in the Foundry Engineers, though I wouldn't have faulted you for getting rid of the Informants. But we'll just go over this one quickly. So Scout 1, put a card from hand in reserve, but it also happens when you play it from reserve, so it removes 2 counters, can hit anything that they've got ticking up in reserve or any of their landmarks, plus if they have boosted creatures as well, you can see that flips an expedition for you, and whenever you create a token, if your expeditions are behind or tied, so if you're losing, you get a little bit of a boost there as well. We'll try that one out next time. The Mobile Armories are just a way to take advantage of the Foundry mechanic if it's in reserve, so we can get rid of that, put another body onto the field, and that all plays a little bit better around Gift of Self and the Anubis sacrifice as well. So we'll give that a go next time. If there's any other changes with Skybound Odyssey, I'll probably make them beforehand, explain them quickly. But yeah, thanks again to Age or Dat for the inspiration. I hope this was informative. If there's any more ideas for what you want to see us play, I'm always willing to give it a go. But with Skybound Odyssey, we've got a couple of changes that we could potentially make to showcase some of those cards, and I've got some ideas as well. A lot of things in the pipeline. Not enough time to play them, but we'll keep going. Alright, that's me out. Have a good one. See you next week. Love your work.